I heard it last summer at a house party, and it was banging.
Did they know you were at the house party?
Yeah.
And they played I'm Like a Bird?
Yeah, it was my friend's birthday, at a tattoo parlor.
And what did you think when you heard it?
I thought, this is banging. 22 years later, I was like, wow, I get why people love this, and I'm happy it bangs at a house party and everybody's singing along,
I want to talk about some of that music in a second, but first, congrats on the Juno hosting.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about that?
Thank you. Well, it's an honor, and it's exciting, overwhelming, but also it's going to be fun. I like to have fun. I've kind of learned how to have a lot of fun at my job and at my work. And so I just am very in the moment and just excited. Yesterday, I was just palling around with the beaches and Maestro shooting media for the event, and we're just excited. Musicians, we like to be creative and goofy and fun and be in the spotlight, quite frankly. We're hams. So I'm ready.
What do you remember about when you first, because when the first record came out and blew up, you must have gone, that was a big year for you. You went to the Junos there. Do you remember that at all?
Oh my God, yes. I was really hell-bent on just doing the best possible job I possibly could. I think I might have gone slightly insane doing it.
The hosting or the attending?
The hosting, because
okay.
I kind of wanted to be all things to all people, and I wanted to be funny, and I wanted to look glamorous, and I wanted my performance to be great, and I wanted to fly into the arena on a thing. And we did all the things. Very fun. Again, a very creative sort of experience. Very fun.
Are you approaching it any differently this time?
Yeah,
around?
I think so. I think I'm generally just more relaxed type person now, and I just kind of let things flow a little bit differently. So I'm just excited to just collaborate and just have a good time and just keep the party going. The theme is actually a party this year. It's more like a dance party theme. So I love making music people dance to. So I mean, that's one side to me. Definitely the side that's most prominent lately, but so it's perfect timing.
You're saying last time you were a little intense. This time around, it's a little easier.
Well, I think I was on the road a lot when I was prepping for the Junos. Maybe it was more stressful because I was on a world tour.
Yeah.
But it has a double-edged sword, because when you're on a world tour and then you stop and do an award show, your voice sounds amazing and your performance is usually really relaxed and on point. Same here. I've been performing a lot, so. This year, so I'm really excited. I'm opening the show with a performance, and I'm hosting the event. So, I can't wait to. The truth is, I haven't been to the JUNO Awards in
long time,
over a decade. Yeah, I haven't even been there. I haven't attended. I guess I was just never in the right place at the right time. So this year, it's kind of wild, but I haven't been to the JUNOs in 16 years since I hosted. Which is weird because I'm Canadian. So it's I think I'm going to be super excited once I'm there. And I'm going to be oh my God, I love Canada.
And plus Halifax is great.
Yeah.
You're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Can we go back a little bit? I want to sort of talk about how we got to where we are right now with you coming back to music. So I want to go back to for people who don't know Nelly's story, it's become sort of lore.
Are you from Halifax?
St. John's, Newfoundland.
Oh, yeah, from Newfoundland. Sweet.
Yeah. Similar.
Are you coming?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll be out there. I'll be sitting in front row. That's my way of making sure I get front row tickets. I say that.
I thought you were going to be there, hosting or presenting or something.
I'm doing something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll see you backstage.
Okay.
And I'll give you a high five. For people who are listening to this who don't know Nelly's story, it's kind of become lore in Canada right now. That she was performing at this thing called the Honey Jam, this all-female artist showcase.
True.
Gerald Eaton goes by the name Jarvis Church now. Back then, member of the Philosopher Kings, one of the greatest Canadian bands of its era. Famous Rich and Beautiful was a really great record. He kind of starts talking to you. He sees something in you. What did your life look like around then? You were working for an alarm company or something, were you?
Yeah, I lived in Toronto. I was 17 years old. I graduated high school in Victoria, BC without a plan or a college fund. So I was I'll move to Toronto. My sister lives there, so she was already living here. So I came and slept on her sofa. Started a trip hop band with my friend Talis Newkirk, and we called it Nelstar, which is now still my company name, Nelstar Entertainment Inc. And I saw a poster that said Honey Jam talent show. So I signed up and I went to the audition and I got in. And I performed a Nelstar song called Like. think it's floating around on the internet somewhere. And Gerald was in the crowd, and after my performance, he approached me, and he was with my current manager, Chris Smith, who managed Philosopher Kings at the time. And yeah, he asked to make more music with me, so he invited me to the Sony building at the time, and we did a quick demo. Then I went back to Victoria for a year for college. I was literally a teenager. I was 17, so I wasn't quite ready, I will say. I wanted to kind of grow my songwriting a little more. So I went back to college in BC for a year, and then I came back once the next summer, and I worked with him and Brian West on a demo, and that demo is almost 50% of my debut album, Whoa Nelly.
Of Whoa Nelly.
Yeah.
The demo you worked on together here in Toronto.
Yeah, in Toronto on Broadview and Queen, in Brian West's bedroom, like little setup.
I mean, big record. I was thinking about that record the other day. There's a lot on that record. There's like rock on that record. There's like scatting on that record.
Yeah.
There's like Brazilian samba on that record. Mm-hmm. When you go to the label, and was it a situation where you went to the label and said like, "Hey, this is what I want. This is the kind of music I want to make," and they were saying, "Oh no, we want you to make more pop music." Was there any of that?
Just when you said about all the influences. We spent a lot of time together at Cosmos record shop on Queen Street and listening to a lot of vinyl and a lot of old Brazilian music. And there were other influences as well. No, you couldn't stop us. We were so like in the sound and just we're like, here, this is what it is. Back then people took very fancy 8x10s at professional things for their bios. But I took my photos at Galleria Mall. RIP. It's almost not going to be there soon. But I lived at Dufferin, and I lived at on my aunt's sofa at the time. My aunt's sofa first, right off of Geary, and I went to Galleria, and there was a photo booth there, and I took some strip mall photos. So I was just coming from a different place. So you either had to buy into the whole package as a record company or not, because I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. I'm not sure why or how. I had a really good manager who trusted in my vision. And of course, the producers, Gerald and Brian, really believed in me, and we believed in our sound we were creating.
I think a lot of people want to talk to you about I'm Like a Bird on Whoa Nelly, but there's a song on that record that I find shit on the radio on that record really, really interesting. Because what it sounds like to me is sort of about your feelings about making popular music, like your trepidation about going mainstream. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think like when you're 17 and you grow up listening to a lot of different sounds, like you're a little scared of I guess, like crossing over in a way. It's all very scary, and I just knew that my identity is kind of, like was special, and I should hang on to that. But then I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to put it into words. I think the world's changed a lot. I think music's changed a lot, and the way things are integrated, I guess, with business and like commerce and art merge in a different way than 20 years ago. Yeah. Back then it was different. Back then, so shit on the radio was about, like I'm making this thing, so let me fly, like for good or bad. Let me just make this album and see where it lands, and I don't want to care about like the haters or whatnot. I get that, because I could see at that moment you're coming. It's that moment. Hey, there's just so much money in music back then, and there's so much money in pop music back then. Yeah, I understand it. People would be sort of pressuring you, like, hey, we need to make this as big a pop as we can possibly get. This needs to be as big a mainstream. I wanted Shit on the Radio to be my first single, but I was so happy that Mo Austin, legend, he passed away a couple years ago, but he had worked with Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. Amazing acts, he was a legend in the business, and he worked at DreamWorks, my label, and he said, no, I'm Like a Bird will be the first single, and I didn't get it, this cool little girl from Queen Street making trip hop. I was like, no, I want Shit on the Radio to be my first single. It's cooler. They chose I'm Like a Bird, and I was so happy they did. Because you don't have the perspective. I think to be a professional artist in the business, you have to know who you are, but you also have to listen to people who are skilled enough to take advice from and merge those two things. It's a tough skill. I did read back then, after I'm Like a Bird came out, I read interviews with you from a year or so after that, and you were kind of like, it's an interesting thing to have I'm Like a Bird blow up and become such a big song, because it doesn't really sound like anything else on my record. Yeah. But then I listen to it today and I go, wow, how cool it really is, like mixing sort of hip hop and pop in an interesting, novel way, with live drums and with like Mike Elizondo, who has made several hits for Dr. Dre on bass and bass lines that we all know and love, on bass on I'm Like a Bird. So it really is a merging of hip hop and pop music, and everything in between. And I still think, I heard it last summer at a house party and it was banging.
Did they know you were at the house party?
Yeah.
And they played I'm Like a Bird?
Yeah, it was my friend's birthday, at a tattoo parlor.
And
yeah.
what did you think when you heard it?
I thought, this is banging. 22 years later, I was like, wow, I get why people love this, and I'm happy it bangs at a house party and everybody's singing along,
What I find interesting about that is that, like, it just seems like that time in your life, you were how old? You were like 20?
When I signed my record deal, I had just turned 20.
And you have this great sense of ownership about you. You're like, hey, no, I want this to be my single. Listen, Nelly, like I talk to people, I know you've talked to people, and I've talked to people who were like, hey, when I signed that record label when I was 20, I didn't know what I was doing. I just said yes to everything. You were like, hey, I want to make this kind of music. I'm going to reject the idea of making mainstream pop music. I'm going to make this kind of music. Hey, I want this to be I want this song to come out. I don't know if you want to talk about this. I find this really interesting. You're 20 years old. They offer you a big advance, like a bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
And you say, give me a smaller advance because I want to hold on to my publishing.
Oh, yeah, because you're offered like a publishing deal too. And yeah, we never wanted that. I had really good advice. So I got a healthy like record deal. And to me, I mean, I don't know, how much did I make at the Robin Hood Motel cleaning hotel rooms? Probably, hopefully it was pretty good. It was like $12 an hour.
This
I'm
is
not
before
sure.
you signed. Yeah,
like
yeah.
when I was 17.
Yeah.
My last job after the alarm company, I went back to chambermaiding.
Right.
For a year, and I was like 18, like that summer cleaning hotel rooms.
Your mom was there too,
I think
right?
I was like $12 or $13 an hour. So anyway, when I got my record deal, my mom too, yeah. And I was able to like just buy clothes I liked. So to me, like, do you know what I mean? Like relatively, I was like, well, I guess I could hang on to my publishing. I really don't need like more money. I can pay my rent and stuff. My music's gonna do well. Like I just had that again. I don't know if it's cockiness or confidence, but I guess a healthy dose of both can help. That was good.
You held on to control of your music.
Yeah, that was a confidence boost,
Yeah, I mean, I talk to artists all the time who didn't, and and they regret it, and they feel like, oh, the first 2 or 3 records, I don't, I mean, I'm sure in the long run that was a great idea.
Yeah, it's tough out there. I think again, like, you have to be a leader, right? Or you become a follower, right? So that it kind of transcends to everything, doesn't it? So like if like my team, my manager and myself, we're trying to create something new, trying to blaze a new trail. So we had to be all or nothing, right? You had to kind of do that in every area.
You knew you were trying to blaze a new trail. You knew you were trying to do something new with music then? Good
question. That's such a good question. I think I was just being myself, my natural tastes, right? I think you just have to make what you love, and I did genuinely love it. So I think that's a good compass.
Yeah.
I don't know if I knew that it was something new. I think it was my natural taste. I think I was just like, I love world music, I love hip hop, I love Britpop. Let's mix it all together. Yay. That's pretty much it. And Portuguese music.
Is there a moment you can point to when you realize it was all starting to take off? Like I've talked to artists before who'll talk to me about like driving down they'll be in LA or they'll be on like the Gardner and they'll turn down the radio and they'll hear their song. Oh, or they see a billboard. Did you have a moment like that where you're like, oh, this is going to go?
Yes. I was living at the Sears building, wherever that is, down here somewhere. And my apartment had
Toronto?
Yeah, my bedroom had no natural light. It was like this cocoon. It was like a cocoon. And I had an alarm clock. And I woke up one day in the darkness, probably, I don't know, I'd probably just done some promotional tour or something and had no sleep. I was sleep deprived. And I think my alarm came on to the radio and it was I'm Like a Bird. Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
What's your thought in that moment?
it was kind of like, people know about me. Do people know that I exist? This is cool. Like, people I don't know. Strangers know about me. That's the different part, I think. When music comes out, you're like, who are these strangers? And then you get to meet them on the road. You get to meet the people that love your music, right? It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. And when you say your music...
And back then it was super immediate. You'd meet them in person.
Yeah, you didn't have to do it over Instagram or TikTok
there
or anything like that.
There was a really primitive form of blogging back then where you could read people's opinion about the song. Maybe, but it wasn't that powerful.
No, you were I remember you playing festivals in Canada. You would just go out to the crowd and people would be... I
would.
Yeah.
Lots of meet and greets, lots of meeting fans, lots of that. Real cool things. You get a diversity of your fans and all that.
You were also producing your own music. All of your records have had your production credits. Do you feel like you don't get enough credit as a producer in music?
Loaded question.
Don't mean for it to be. Do you know the spirit in which I mean it?
I have a JUNO Award for Best Producer, and Track and Field have the same award. Whoa Nelly, my first album, was also nominated for a Grammy for Best Producer. But the rules is that if you're an artist and you produced your first album, you're not allowed to get the nomination. Only the other producers can get the nomination. But I don't know if they changed it.
I didn't know that.
So deep down, I got the JUNO for Best Producer, so I knew that I was good at it. But I love collaboration. I love working with other people. But yeah, I am a producer.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun. But I think... it's not everything. I think you have to know when to let other people take the wheel too. Because I like to just, I try not to let my ego take over. I think that's the danger, right? You just kind of have to know when to lay back and when to step in, but also be brave enough. There was a moment making a record 6 months ago, because I'm making obviously my new album, where I'm just trying all the things I've always wanted to try. And not that I never hold back on trying things, but yeah, it'll become as detailed as I'm actually playing the bass, on Turn Off the Light, the bass line on the Juno, but okay, and maybe directing a musician a little bit and what to play or whatnot, but I don't know. I like to share. It's just my spirit. I like community and fun, and I don't care about my contribution as much as I care about the final product. Yeah. It has to be good.
Yeah.
I'm not Stevie Wonder. I can't do it alone.
Yeah, you want
clearly.
You want to have people around you. People people who can help you out, and people who can join
or even play. I barely even play guitar on stage anymore, just because I'm so consumed with the singing and dancing that I'm like, I don't want to. I sound bad on guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I still can't believe I'm talking to you. This is still freaking me out. Every now and then.
But I understand what it's like to be a woman and be I want people to know that I play an instrument. You know what I mean?
Tell me what you mean.
To be I'm a girl on stage and I want people to know I'm playing. Because I have to understand, I came into the business 23 years ago. Things were different back then. So you had to really show the parts of you that you wanted people to know about. I always use the example of Madonna. People have no idea what an incredible songwriter Madonna is. I know for personal reasons I don't have to get into, but... she's an incredible songwriter, and she doesn't get credit. What's so cool about it is she doesn't really give a shit because she knows she's good. Know what I'm saying?
Mariah Carey, too. Mariah Carey,
stop. She's my first love.
But as a songwriter, people don't know that Mariah Carey, people think that there's this big machine of dudes behind writing fantasy. Yeah. Mariah Carey is one of the best earning, greatest pop songwriters of all time. That's the spirit in which I asked the producer question, is that I talk to women producers all the time who say that women producers, there's not a lot of them in this country right now. And oftentimes artists like yourself who did produce don't get the credit for it.
I always get credit.
That's what I mean by the song.
I think it's that we don't care as much because we have confidence in what we do. So it's we don't need that because we're also in front of the camera. We're the ones singing the songs. We're the ones doing the thing. Yeah. We're the stars of the music videos. So we don't need everybody to know oh, did you know I produced this idea, or it was my idea to bring this in, or do you know what I mean? Because there's situations where it's not like that.
Can you tell me the story? Speaking of producers, you're working with Timbaland. You've been working with him for a long time. Promiscuous, Say It Right, and then Maneater.
See, there's a situation where I don't produce a whole lot if Timbaland's there.
Yeah, fair enough. What's the story where that studio caught on fire when you were recording Maneater? Can you tell me that? I've heard that story before. Is that a true story?
Okay. Yes. Are you kidding? Okay. At the time, Timbaland was working with Danja, which is another producer, okay? So they had these pardon my pun, but fire beats.
Hello.
And it was day one, and all the magic happens on day one. If you want to make something good, it's going to happen on day one.
Yeah.
It might happen later, but day one's really special with anybody new because it's new cells, new energy, right? It's like new energy coming together for the first time. So anyways, sorry, getting hot. So we're in the studio. We're in Miami. I get into the room. The first thing he plays me, I think, is the beat for the song called Glow, which is on my album Loose. We do that song. Then he pulls up the beat for Maneater, and it's like, boom, ksh, boom, ksh, you know? Boom, 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 ksh. And it's like, wow. So it's full blast at the Hit Factory. Studio D, I don't remember which room. And the speaker starts smoking, and a little flame comes out. And we're like, whoa, did that just happen? And we were actually, I'm not lying, they went and replaced the speaker because they had a great staff that just could get you anything. They came and replaced the speaker right away. And we actually decided not to pull that track up again that night. We said, we'll get back to that tomorrow. I think we were a little scared.
Scared of it.
Yes, it's so weird. It sounds weird. But we were spooked.
What do we know what caused? Do we know?
No, I think the volume burnt the rubber or I don't know.
Yeah.
We still, I have witnesses.
Can I say that's like a testament to like a song is going to, because that Maneater became a gigantic song.
It's still really fun to play.
I mean,
it gets more and more fun.
That is a testament to, that could be a testament to the song being so big, so good. It lit the studio on fire.
Some kind of voodoo that day.
I think so. In 2013, you intentionally turned away from music, saying you lost the passion for making music. What happened there?
I do go away for a while. This is what I do. I go away and I crumple into like a mess on the floor, and then I slowly like put myself back together again. But it doesn't mean the mess is a bad place. It's just kind of like I'm like a jellyfish. I'm an empath, so I have to really live it out, man. I have to like live the things that I'm making, you know?
Yeah.
And so I can't really fake it. So sometimes I do. It sounds like such a artist cliche, but it's like you do have to kind of turn into a blob and then just kind of slowly get into formation again.
Sorry, I should say this is the artist cliche show. You can do that here. What? Help me understand that better. Okay. I don't talk. I talk to artists who keep going. I talk to artists
keep going up.
They keep on making records nonstop.
Okay.
They don't stop working. I talk to artists.
Don't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, that's. Oh,
I'm just quoting songs.
It says on my T-shirt under this. You said I'm like a jellyfish earlier, and I was like, is that another song? Is that like was that also on Bo Nelly? Is that a thing? I'm either like a bird.
I'll stop. You
I'm
go.
either like a bird or a jellyfish. What do you mean you disappear and turn into a blob every few years and bring yourself back? Honest to God, Nelly, what do you mean by that?
Okay, fine. So I make an album. I'm really excited. Then I get it out into the world. Then I perform it live a few times. I don't do well on like long tours because I get I don't know, I get in a loop and then it feels like life stops. Does that make sense? So I always want life to kind of have variation and ebbs and flows.
Of course.
I also was recently diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The inattentive kind. So it all makes sense, right? It's like I need things to keep flowing and changing, and I'm a product of my boredom. So people go, why did you do an album in Spanish? And I'm like, well, I was kind of bored and I like Spanish. Or like, why'd you start dancing in your videos? Why are you sexy? And then I'm like, well, because I like dancing and it's fun, you know?
Yeah.
So that's literally like what motivates me.
So
in between, sometimes I just go down some weird lane. Like I'll be like, I like basketball. I want to learn to play basketball. Let's meet up at the Y once a week and teach me how to play, or like, or wherever. Yeah, literally. And or I get weird fascinations. Like I'm like, I'm gonna do pottery, or like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like right now, I got to get my music out because otherwise I'll get bored and not want to and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it certainly does. Now it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I was trying to explain.
And then music comes back into your life, and okay, it's music time again. But in the meantime, you're not going to do it if it's not calling to you.
Yeah, I think so. But I went too far. I think when I thought that I could not make music at all, like which was between Basically, I had my two youngest children back to back, so I kind of really leaned into that for a while. But I wasn't balancing it with like hitting the studio every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think my ADHD got like more prominent because I guess it works to your advantage, ADHD, when you can be creative and make music, or in the studio, it's like a superpower. Yeah. But in real life, if you don't have the creative thing to keep you kind of like expressing yourself, you kind of get a little depressed, or you don't feel like yourself, you know? You kind of forget who you are a little bit. Yeah.
Then
I've been guilty of that. Like I stop, like I don't have the balance, right? So I just stop, and then I'm like, who am I again?
It's hard to balance like being an artist and doing all this other stuff. So you kind of go one way or the other.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And then when I love this story, and I think we got enough time for you to tell it. Can you tell me the story of, because I saw the video of you at Drake's big show out in history. So Drake, Canadian rapper, says Drake. Toronto-based artist.
Who's that?
He puts together this night at History in Toronto, featuring like people who are very meaningful to him in the history of Canadian music. You know, legends of Canadian hip hop. I'm watching all these videos on Instagram and all that stuff. Really excited about it. Nelly Furtado shows up. Promiscuous and I'm Like a Bird, I think.
Yeah, he really wanted I'm Like a Bird, and I was fighting him on it. I was like, really? Why don't we do Promiscuous? He's like, no, trust me, you're going to tear the house down.
Can you tell me the whole story? So like...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we were like, he asked me to do this thing, and I hadn't performed in years.
Call?
So
Is it a call?
Super hesitant. No, we have a mutual friend. I met him at the... video at Casa Loma he did with Future. I had some friends there, and some friends that wanted to play me some stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. So we met there, and then he invited me to sing, and I didn't want to do it. It took some convincing. So when he came out on stage and he's like, it took some convincing to get this woman out of the house. It's true. I was at the zoo with my kids that day, and I didn't confirm that I was really going to do it till like a couple hours before. And then I just somehow whipped it together, called hair, makeup, got a dress, and then, showed up. And it was pretty life-changing in that moment, because I forgot that, like, with life you grow, and just because you took 5 years off doesn't mean you have nothing new to offer after 5 years. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, it's kind of like, if you go and live your life, and just live your life as best you can, and follow your passions and wherever your heart is, it's okay. You'll still be yourself on the other side. You'll still have your talents, and you'll still have the things you're good at. But it was like that night at History, I walked off the stage, and I thought to myself, wow, I've done a lot of work on myself. I've grown a lot as a human in these 5 years. These 5 years have definitely been really valuable. Think of all of that life I can now put back into my art and creativity and music. This is going to be great. So that night, the narrative kind of switched for me into, this is going to be great. And I'm sure that's what leads you to make this new music that you're making right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's been really fun. So fun. Yeah. I can't wait for people to hear it. You're in one of those places you were telling me about earlier where you're feeling creative. You're feeling like... Oh, I can't stop. Yeah, I'm constantly making like playlists and constantly thinking of the next song I'm going to record. Like I see it now as it's not ending, you know? It's just like, this is what I just keep doing. Just keep making more and more music, and I just keep doing. That's what I do for fun. I mean, that feels like it's in the lyrics to the "Keep Going Up" song, one of the newest songs you have. Oh yeah. I'm no longer settling. I'm upgrading. My new life's better than the old one. I've been on new energy. It's contagious. That feels like what you're telling me today, Nelly. Thank you. We had so much fun making that. It was a real meditation for us. It was a real like healing experience for the three of us to kind of come back 20 years later and say, hey, we're still got each other's back. You know, this is fun. I hope one of the things you took away from that Drake show that night is just how much you mean to a lot of us. Aw. I think, just you've been a really big part of our lives in music. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to in this country who got into making music and producing music or singing music because of those early records in Canada, and seeing them on Much Music, and then watching what you did after that, showing that you could reinvent yourself, showing that there was no limit to what you could do if you're from Canada. It's really beautiful, and I hope you can take that in sometimes. Thanks for being here, Nelly. You're so sweet. Thank you.